Okay, now you should be able to hear and see me, okay? Can you hear me? Yes, thank you. I had the mic muted. I always do that. Right, so I'm glad you can hear and see me okay. So yesterday we did this sheet, which was this, and another small sheet, which was 100 Daniel Smith colors and how they reacted to salt. And when I was prepping for yesterday's stream, yay, I'm glad you can hear and see me okay. Thank you for letting me know, Paolo. When I prepped this for yesterday's stream, I also made one for the 108 colors of Holbein watercolor, which is their full range, to test as well. And I was going to leave it till next week's live stream to test that, but then I woke up this morning and all the blue masking tape was just peeling off everywhere, so I thought it's probably best to just get this done today before all the tape just kind of falls off altogether. So that's what we're going to be doing, and what I'm going to do with the Holbein colors is, except for the different brand of watercolors, I'm going to keep everything the same. So we're going to put the watercolor down and then use table salt, which I just have, it's a fine grained table salt, and then just let it do its own magic, and then we can see how each color reacts to the table salt. And unlike yesterday where I was like a bit all over the place with like the colors in the order in which I painted the colors, I actually have all the colors in an organized fashion. So I'm hoping this will be a faster stream for us. And I'm aware that like Frugal Crafter has her live stream, I think, in about 3 hours. So I'm hoping to get through this before that so that I don't double up with her live stream. So let's get on with it. I have the first 8 colors on here, and I just need some paper. Just gonna have to move my drinks. How's the weather where you are today? Okay, so I have put down like the titanium whites and stuff like this. Let me just adjust the brightness on the camera because it's gone a little bit dark. There we are. I have to put the first 8 colors on here because I'm not quite sure if we're just like going to be able to see any difference. So if not, then when I display this on my studio wall, I'm just going to have the big sheet and not this. So titanium white first. I'm testing out colors like titanium white and the really pale yellows just for the sheer sake of completeness, rather than because I'm expecting to see anything, because this is just white on white, so we're not going to see much difference. Or having thought about it, I should have painted these 2 black, and then we would have seen if there was any reaction. Oh well, we live and learn. Paolo is saying the weather is not that good. Oh, 21 degrees. What is happening in Portugal? That's like our weather in Scotland. Is that normal where you are? Do you live like North Portugal? That was Chinese white. And then lemon yellow. Hey Stephen, good morning. How are you today? We are doing the Holbein We're doing the same test as yesterday basically, but with Holbein, and I've got the full set of 108 colours. We're keeping everything the same. Table salt, fine grain, we're on the same Bockingfoot paper. Everything's the same except the brand. And then next up is permanent yellow lemon. How's the weather where you at, Stephen? Paolo says, nope, this is not normal weather. Yeah, that's like, I think I was in Lisbon about 3 years back, and it was definitely not the same temperature as Edinburgh. Oh my goodness, it was warm. Stephen says, weather finally broke at least for a few days. Where are you now? Because I know you were born UK, but you're not living in UK, are you? Next one is the Imidazzling Lemon. I am really growing to love the Imidazzling because you know, I love the Aurelian, especially the Holbein's Aurelian, because it's a hue, and you never want to use the original Aurelian because it fades in light, and not only it's like a super not light fast color whatsoever, but it also doesn't just fade, it turns grey, which is not what you want at all, is it? Whereas Holbein's one is a hue, so you're not going to have a light fastness issue. Next up is Cad Yellow Lemon, but like from doing a lot of swatching the whole brand, which I've done a few times now, I am really starting to like how bright and translucent Imidazzling colours are. And I think there's about 3 Imidazzlings in Holbein. Oh, Stephen says I live in Ontario. 28 degrees. Oh, hi Ian. How are you today? Same test as yesterday, just with Holbein colours. I'm keeping everything else exactly the same. And I'm hoping to do it a lot faster this time, with less rants. Yesterday I got a bit ranty. I'm in a good mood today. I have had a very productive morning. I've done this month, it's not Holbein, Patreon dot cards, their monthly reward dot cards. This month I've changed my mind and I've actually gone for lunar colours. So like the lunar blues, lunar violets, lunar earth, lunar red rock and lunar black. There's 5. And you can see a photo of that on my Instagram and Twitter. I've done that. I've packed several packages and sent that off. Here's another Imidazzling color. This time is Imidazzling yellow. Oh, hi Lana. Oh no, I haven't seen it. I saw that she was doing the salt with the core watercolor, but I haven't seen it yet. I was waiting up for it, but I couldn't find it. So I was hoping she'll come in and let me know today that she's done it. It's cool. Was it a good test? I totally forgot to do the core ones yesterday. I'm so sorry. Right, that's the first 8, and I'm going to put that aside. Right, I can get rid of this paper for now. So, I've asked Stephen and Paolo how the weather is. Ian, how's the weather? Oh yeah, you've said how the weather was. It's 28 degrees. How is your weather where you are, Lana? Yeah, Sam was very fast in making that video. Right, Cad Yellow Pale. Hang on, I'm just going to bring this down a bit. Yellow. Oh, Paolo, I have just made your International Climb Blue last night after the stream. So that is now drying as well. Next up is Permanent Yellow Light. It's glorious weather again, but I think it's not as hot as yesterday. I haven't checked the weather, but it feels not quite as stuffy and hot as yesterday. But I saw on the news that there's like a super typhoon developing, and it's heading towards Japan and Taiwan and that kind of area. So, and it's probably gonna hit south of Japan, and with the exception of my mum, my entire family is in south of Japan. So I'm like, please don't hit south of Japan or anywhere really, just like disappear, please. I hope you're saying it's awful to the super typhoon. So I'm hoping they'll be okay. I mean, down south, they are very used to typhoon. They just had one. Sorry about that, my throat. I got an email from my mum a couple of days ago saying Kyushu's just they going through a typhoon right now, so that was Gambosh Nova. Cad Yellow Light next. So for the couple of people that just came in, I am just doing the same test as yesterday, but just with all the Holbein colors. So I'm testing their full set. I don't think I could do a full set of Daniel Smith colors. That would take a really long time because I would have to take from the dot cards, and like with colors that are in a palette, I can just pre-wet them by just spraying them, whereas you can't really on a dot card. Cad Yellow Deep next. Holbein does have a lot of cadmium colors, like a lot. They, especially like the yellows and oranges, they have so many shades of yellows and oranges in the cadmium. I do love their colors though, it's nice and bright. It's always very easy to re-wet. Goodness, I have a frog in my throat today. I'm so glad you're happy about it. Paolo was saying now that's a color I have only seen in museum. It's the color I'm talking about is a color called International, and it was loved and was the career focus of an artist called Yves Klein. He was French, I think. He was definitely in Paris when he did. No, hang on. Yeah, I'm sure he's French. Permanent Yellow Deep next, and he fell in love with this particular ultramarine blue that this particular pigment maker was making, and then in Paris, and Yves also got this dude to develop a new oil medium that was clear rather than tinted, because you know most oil bases are tinted in some ways, and they called it the medium. There's a whole documentary about it that's fascinating, but he fell in love with this color, and you recognize it if you've seen like his work, it's usually just a big panel of this deepest, most gorgeous ultramarine blue. And I remember that was like the first piece of art that I was just like really drawn to and taken in by. It was, I was in Liverpool for a conference, and one of the evening's entertainment was that we got to go to Liverpool Tate Museum, and this was what, back about no, hang on, I'm not that old. Goodness, no, yeah, I am that old. Probably about 15 years ago. And I wasn't I wasn't even interested in art. I used to really disappoint my mother because she's always been into art, and I've been like, yeah, whatever about art. And so I was like, well, I have to go to this museum because that's like, you know, it's the conference's evening's entertainment. And I went, and I was like, yeah, boring, boring, boring. And then I saw just this blue piece, and it doesn't look much in photos and on TV, but when you see it in real life, it's like this, it just sucks you in. It has such presence, and it's only just one color, but it has so much presence. And that's like, when I think back on like my art and my philosophy in art and what I find interesting, which is clearly color more than anything else, it all stems back to that, because the first piece of art that I was really, really genuinely drawn to was this canvas of blue, and it was just about the power of this color. And when I started making my own paints, that was like one of the first pigments I was like, I have to get hold of International Klein Blue. So I did, and I just made some paints with that for Paolo, because I know he's also a huge fan of International Klein Blue, and he's about the only other person that I've spoken to that kind of knows about International Klein Blue. So I'm very happy that you're happy to receive it. He is French. Thank you. Thank you, Paolo. Lana says, White Knight also puts the cadmium colors everywhere. Yeah, I think it's fine as long as brands also offer non-cadmium alternatives in like matching hues, which Holbein does, because Holbein just has so many. Stephen says the Klein Blue is pretty strong looking blue, just judging from photos. Yeah, he would layer them many times onto the canvas, and it's also an oil painting rather than watercolor painting. But when you see it in real life, it's like any other painting, but particularly his pieces, it's totally different. I mean, to begin with, it's huge. They are always on huge canvases. And he wanted to paint the whole world International Klein Blue, which, coming from another ultramarine blue fan, I don't blame him. It has so much depth and power and intensity. Sorry, I've totally skipped on saying the colours. That's Permanent Yellow Deep, Queen Gold, Naples Yellow, Jean Brillant 1 and Jean Brillant 2. And I'm about to paint Isodin Yellow Deep. Ah! It just clicked. Sorry, totally random, right? Totally random. So I'm sorry if you don't understand this reference, because it's a Japanese thing, but there is a mouthwash called Isojin, It's a very famous mouthwash. It has two hippos as their main character, gargling, wearing a scarf and things, because of course you want to gargle more to prevent cold in the winter, because that's how unscientific things were back then, I guess. It's a very old thing, and I just clicked that the name Isogen actually comes from isodine, just pronounced in a Japanese way, because it is that color. Ah, I wonder if it's the same chemical. Paolo, do you know anything about isodine yellow being good for gargling and to prevent cold with? Stephen's asking what pigment was patented by an artist. Oh, you're talking about the one that was. He didn't patent it. He bought the exclusive right to the artist is Amir Kapoor. He's actually an incredibly famous artist and very, very rich, which is why he can do this. It's Vanderblack. It's supposed to be the blackest black in the world, and he has the exclusive right to using it. Cadmium yellow orange. Where am I? Cadmium yellow orange. There we go. And I don't know if you guys know the whole backstory to this, but another artist, got, felt that it's not right for a single artist to have the market have the exclusive right to a pigment. So he actually, you can find his website, but he first developed the pinkest pink, and basically said that anyone can buy it except for Amir Kapoor and anyone that is associated with Amir Kapoor. How you prove that, I have no idea. And then I think he made the glitteriest or glitter, and there's a whole range of things. And so he was like, no, Amir Kapoor cannot buy my pigments. Moving on to palette 2. We're doing these colors next. And so Amir Kapoor did get hold of one of those colors, and then tweeted or Instagrammed the artist holding it, and it's just like, it just got considerably petty. And I'm like, guys, you guys are adults. Permanent yellow orange next. But I do want to try the pinkest pink. I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. Oh, hi, Cyan. How are you today? How's your puppy? I watched your live stream of introducing your puppy last night. It was so cute. My goodness, you have really long legs. Sorry, I'm Japanese and I have really short legs. And I was watching your live stream, I'm like, wow, you have long legs. Hi, journaling book nerd. Buff titanium. I don't know if you are into making your own paint, but you can definitely get buff titanium pigment. Hey, Arty Crafty Alchemy, how are you? Brilliant orange next. So for the people that just come in, sorry, Paolo, you're having to listen to this 10 times today. What I'm doing is I am carrying out the same test as I did yesterday. Yesterday I tested how table salt reacts to 100 of the Daniel Smith watercolors, and today I'm doing the exact same thing but with Holbein colors. I've got all 108 colors, and we're just going to test them, and I'm trying to do it as quickly as I can because I'm aware that Frugal Crafters live stream is on this afternoon as well, and obviously I don't want to step on the toes or have to make you guys choose between the two. So yeah, cat red orange next. Ian is asking, Otto, do you like Pierre Mondrian? I've actually been to the Modern Art Museum in The Hague, which has like one of the largest collection of Mondrian art, and I've also been to Crane and Mueller, which has some of the Mondrian stuff as well. I actually have a friend who works at the Modern Art Museum in The Hague, and she showed me all the Pierre Mondrian stuff, and it's awesome because that again is a study of color. Cad red orange, and I saw some of his like really early work where it's just all lots of crosses before he got into the primary color studies. I basically, the only thing I travel for is art museums. Oh, hi, Jen and Book Nerd, you're Japanese too. That's awesome. I'm good, thank you, Arty Crafty Alchemy. I've had a good productive day. And basically, I was going to do this test as next week's live stream. And then I woke up this morning and like all this tape was peeling off. So I thought I'd better just do an impromptu live stream and get it done before all the tapes just fall off and I cry. Sign saying Poppy's tired, he's not enjoying the heat. I bet he's not enjoying the heat. He has so much fur. Jazz, for those of you who don't know, is my hamster. She's not enjoying the heat either. Right, that was vermilion, cad red orange, brilliant orange. I feel like I haven't said enough. Vermilion hue next. Thank you so much guys for joining me on the live stream. I know not everyone can afford to watch me swatch for hours, so I really appreciate you guys doing so. If you don't, by the way, because I did get a comment on this the other day, if you don't have time to watch the whole stream, don't. Just skip to the end to see what you want to see, you know? That's what the fast forward button is for. Please don't make your YouTube content creators change the way they make live stream. You know, you have the power to skip forward. Cad red light at the moment. Oh, Paolo, you have to go and make some ice cream. Please make some for me. What flavor are you making? I hope you have a lovely ice cream making session. Goodness, that is one thing I do miss, is ice cream. I'm on a non-carb, non-carb, I would die on non-carb, non-gluten, non-dairy diet now, and I'm doing so much better for it, but I do miss having ice cream. Cad red purple. And I have tried soy yogurt, that is my emergency, but the only flavor that I can eat that they have is vanilla, which is like not as fun as like my favorite, which my favorite flavor of ice cream is salted caramel. What's your favorite ice cream flavor, guys? I also like pistachio, but I'm allergic to nuts, so I can't have them anymore, which is sad. Yes, Paolo, you do need to make ice cream for absolutely everyone. January Book Nerd is saying, Otto, you may have already answered this question, but how did you get started in watercolor? What? That was Cad Red Purple. Watercolor was back in October last year, and I set myself a challenge to paint 10 paintings a day for a month. And it didn't have to be complicated, it could just be circles or whatever, but I had to create 10 pieces of art every day for a month. And it was just through practicality that I started doing watercolor. I had a watercolor set that I put together and then never used because I was like really intimidated by, you know, those teachers that put you off by saying, oh, watercolor is really hard, you know, one false move and like that you're done for kind of thing. Unfortunately, like I started off with those kind of teachers, so I got really scared of watercolor. But so I had this set of watercolors, but I never used them. This is Pyro Red, by the way, and then I had to do this challenge, and I thought, well, I was painting in acrylic, but you try to paint 10 acrylic paintings, it's just, they take so much longer time, whereas watercolor was much more immediate for me. And so I started that and I spent like a month using it, and I just fell in love with the medium, the color, the luminosity, the variance in color, everything about it. And so that's how I got into it. Artie Crafty Alchemy says, Häagen-Dazs macadamia brittle. Yeah, that's a good choice. Cyan saying there is really great oat ice cream in Finland called Oatly. It's milk, soy, and gluten free. Oh, that's amazing! I'm gonna keep an eye out for that. Thank you, Cyan. Cad Red Deep next. And the more I spend time just being around watercolor, is that it's the colors. That's what I'm particularly fascinated by. I do paint, but I'm not as fascinated by the whole painting process as I am with the colors. And I think that's why I eventually ended up into making watercolor paints for myself, because that's what I just want to see, the color. I'm not bothered about being able to paint a fine landscape painting or whatever. I just want to see color, and seeing color makes me really happy. That was Cat Red Deep. Can I just say how nice that Pyro Red is? It's coming out slightly orange on screen, but it's a cool orange and it's very nice. And then we come to Shell Pink. I do not like... Well, actually, no, it's not as bad as Brilliant Pink. If for those of you who don't know, I don't like Brilliant Pink because it's a misnomer. It's not brilliant, and yeah, it's barely pink, but yeah. And I did get the question last time of why am I using my fingers for the salt rather than using a salt shaker. And I've always used fingers for the salt because I get a better control of where the salt lands. I'm just going to change this water because it's just a bit too much now. Queen Scarlet next. Johnny Book Nerd, you can get buff titanium pigment. I think I got mine from Crema. I would say the Queen Scarlet is quite similar to somewhere between Queen Coral and Queen Pink by Daniel Smith. I would say it's a warm color rather than, like, in my head Scarlet is like a cool red. I might be wrong. whereas this is quite a warm one. And then next up is Pyro Rubin. I love Pyro Rubin by Holbein. It's such a nice, see what I mean? Holbein does make some very intense colors, which is why I love them. They're not fancy like, you know, you get really fancy cool colors by Daniel Smith. You're never gonna get a flamboyant paint by Holbein. It's just not the Japanese way. But the colors they do have, I do love all of them. They are very highly pigmented, easy to re-wet, very cheap if you can get it from Japan or at that sort of price. Cyan says, I need to make coffee. Puppy woke me up like 3, 2, 9, 4, 8, 8, 5, 6 times last night. Oh, it's like having a puppy, like quite similar to having a baby. Yes, Johnny Book Nerd Kremer, it's spelled Kremer, and they have a, I don't know where you're based, I know you're Japanese, but you might not be based in Japan, but they have a European website and they also have a American website, so pick the one that works best for you. If you're in Europe, pick the Europe one, then you don't pay import tax. If you're more close to America, then pick that one. They do have slightly different ranges, like even I often compare stock, like what color pigments we have, and we do occasionally find one that like the other one doesn't know about, and of course like both of us have scoured Kremer and practically memorized it like the back of our hands, so we know when one pigment doesn't appear in one website. I can't tell you off the top of my head about what pigment that buff titanium is. It might be PW6, I don't know. Crimson Lake. That was Rose Madder, by the way. Rose Madder is Eve's favourite Holbein colour. It's the one I sent her the big 60ml tube of. I think she has a lifetime supply now. She's really lucky because I think there's only about 40 colours that you can get in the 60ml tube by Holbein. And none of my favourite colours are in that 40 colours. It's quite sad for me. Aurelian isn't in there. Pyro Rubin isn't in there. I even quite like Crimson Lake, but oh, thank you. I'm glad you are enjoying the colours. Come on, where are you? There you are. I have fallen in love with Daniel Smith's Carmine. It's gorgeous colour. But Crimson Lake is also a lovely colour as well. It's almost purpley red. Hi Teresa, how are you today? How's your weather where you are? Has it cooled down yet? So saying yes, very much. Poppy has been sleeping on day because it is so hot here, and night's a bit cooler, so he's more active at night. That is the story of my life with Jazz, because she's supposed to be crepuscular, which means they are up at dawn and dusk. She's not. She is firmly a night hamster. Permanent alizarin crimson. And we spot cleaned her cage yesterday, and it's so funny. Whenever she does, I look after the hamster while James does the cleaning, and she will insist on being held like she has a playpen, but if she's in a playpen and she starts realizing that he's cleaning her cage, she doesn't freak out, but she demands to be held somewhere where she can supervise him. And she is a really active hamster and she never stops. She's always like running from A to B. But when it comes to him cleaning her cage, she would just sit in my hand, just here, and just watch him. Watch him without moving or anything to make sure he's doing a good job. Queen red next. That was permanent alizarin crimson if I didn't say it. Let's have a drink. Teresa is saying Northeast Wisconsin is hot and steamy. I bet. Crafty Alchemy says 60ml tube would last a lifetime. For most people, yeah, it would. Doesn't with me. But I do use a lot of watercolor. Partly because I paint so large, and partly because I paint many in one go, and I do a lot of tests, like a lot. Both tests like this and also tests like color studies and stuff. Because I kind of have to always do really systematic testing. So even if I'm like trying out new triads, I kind of have to do a really thorough test. Queen magenta next. Queen magenta? Queen magenta. Oh, did we just get dark? We did, didn't we? Hang on, let's just adjust the brightness for you. So you can see again. Let me know if it gets too bright, which it will. When the sun comes back. Which it's doing already. Thanks, sun. Hi, Andrea. Oh, okay. We'll stay really quiet. She's watching from work, so we're going to be really quiet and whisper so she doesn't get caught. Thank you so much, guys. Like, I didn't expect so many of you guys to be here because this is just an impromptu one. I saw Paolo at the beginning and I was like, oh great, Paolo's here, and I was like, he's probably going to be the only person. So I'm very grateful for everyone showing up. Bright Rose next. I used to love Bright Rose so much. Now, there was somebody who hated Holbein's opera in yesterday's live stream. I'm going to give you a trigger warning right now that I am about to paint opera, so you have headphones. Okay, we'll stay really quiet though. How's the weather where you are, Andrea? Oh, I need to change palettes first though. Can I just say the color of this mixing water is beautiful. I love it. Third palette. So we're like a third of the way done. Once I get through to the violets, I am going to take 2 minutes just to change the water. Oh, hi Mark! Oh, you are at work too. Okay, we'll stay pretty quiet. How are you today, Mark? So for those of you who just come in, apologies for the people that's been here from the start because you've heard this like 10 times now. I am testing out the table salt with all the colors of the Holbein range, so that's 108 colors. If you were here yesterday in my regular live stream, I tested 100 colors from Daniel Smith, and this is the Holbein version of the same test. Ooh, Andrea, you're from Romania. That's awesome. Brilliant pink next. My least favorite Holbein color. I mean, I don't like the colour, but it's mostly the name that gets me, because it says brilliant pink and it's like the palest, weakest pink, and I do not understand. So how you doing, Mark? Lilac next. I love Holbein, they are all so easy to re-wet. You know how like Daniel Smith has several colours that are incredibly hard to re-wet? You don't have that many with Holbein. I mean, I know there's not that many colours either. I would say that the only one that comes to mind that is hard to re-wet is the Viridian. But they also offer a Viridian hue, so I just usually use that instead of... Sorry, I'm picking loads up, doing this loads of times because for some reason I couldn't pick up loads of enough salt. My curious years ago tradition was to specifically use kosher salt, as the iodized didn't have same effect. Have you tried it yet? Any difference? I haven't yet. I found out yesterday, just before my live stream, that kosher salt is really hard to get hold of in the UK. I went to several supermarkets and I couldn't find them, so what I've done is I've ordered them, and I am going to do a big video. That one's definitely going to be a video rather than a live stream of like testing out different salts to see if different salts react differently to watercolors. And so I'm amassing a collection of different salts at the moment. I'm using table salt for this one because it's for my Daniel Smith watercolor series and I just have it. It's also quite easy to use, and I found between certainly like sea salt and table salt, I found no difference. Quin Violet. But I am looking forward to testing kosher salt. Oh hey Paolo, welcome back. Articrafty Alchemy says 100 Daniel Smith colors swooning over here. Yes, that was an awesome color chart. And if you want to see a high-res photo of both of the Daniel Smiths and this one, I will be putting them up on my Patreon. I normally put up high-res scans, which are even more high-res, but I basically can't fit this into an A4 scanner, so a photo it's gonna have to be. Paolo is asking, do I have access to molten salt? It is the only salt I cook with. I do everything with that salt, and that was the other salt that I was using at the beginning, but I found that there was no difference. So for this I use the table salt and I keep molten salt for myself basically. I love molten salt. If you don't know what molten salt is, try it if you can get hold of what. It just changes your salt game. Next one is Cobalt Violet Light. I love molten salt, and thankfully my greengrocers sell them. So I get it from that. It's funny because I have a quite famous Edinburgh has a like I have as if like it's anywhere near me, but Edinburgh has like a really famous Italian grocery shop, and they sell the same salt for twice as much as they do at my greengrocers. So I get mine from my greengrocers. Articrafty Alchemy says kosher salt is hard to get in Australia too. Yeah, I think it's some places are harder. Oh, thank you, Stephen. I did manage to get hold of one on Amazon, so that is coming. I think it got dispatched this morning. Mineral Violet, but thank you for your suggestion. I'm glad you're doing well, Mark. Yeah, who doesn't love a humongous chart, right? I think I spend more time making different charts than painting. It just goes back to me. My love for watercolor is about the colors themselves more than like painting. Like I love seeing other people's paintings of beautiful landscapes and floral and botanical and stuff, but for me the fun is in seeing and understanding pigments and creating paints for myself. Permanent violet. And I definitely spend more time either doing color studies or creating paints than painting nowadays. Now that I've discovered this outlet of possibilities, of infinite possibilities of making watercolors, yeah. Oh, hey, Eve! Thanks for coming to my impromptu live stream. We're doing the Holbein one, exactly the same as yesterday, just Holbein. Hey, bestie boy! How are you both? Lavender next. And then this is the last of the violets. I'm going to the blues. So what I'm going to do is change the water, my cleaning water out, so that I don't get any tints of red in there. How are you doing today, Eve? Right, I shall be back. I'm just going to put the mic on mute. I'll be back in about a minute. Hello, I'm back. Oh, I am so glad it's going to be much cooler for you today, Eve. It is a little bit cooler for us here, but it never got that hot, so. Cobalt blue next. Cobalts are definitely one of the pigments that I am not going to be making into paints for myself, just because of the ethical issues surrounding cobalt, as we talked about yesterday. Mark is saying, I visited a very popular YouTuber's live stream the other day, and it felt just like those IRC days. Everyone talking at once and nobody saying anything to each other. Oh goodness, yes, that is I think that is the joy of being small and unknown, is that we get to actually hang out with each other and just be able to actually talk with each other and converse with each other, and I love that. It's why I chose to do a live stream painting this today rather than doing a video, because we get to chat and that's always fun. Do I sell my paints? Not yet journaling book nerd, but I will be hopefully August. As I was explaining in yesterday's live stream, paints do their own thing about when it's going to be ready, so we'll see. I'm hoping for August, like late August. Royal blue next. That was Vertida blue, and this one is royal blue. I wonder if royal blue is in Danthrone. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it looks it. Eve, is Holbein's in Danthrone? Royal blue just in Danthrone? It looks really in Danthrone-y. Oh, Articrafty Alchemy says, I just had to restart my laptop, keep being thrown into endless loops of buffering. Is anyone else suffering that? Because if other people are suffering that, then it's my end rather than yours. Journaling book nerd, what do you think of the teleshow Outlander? Okay, along with Harry Potter, it's just such a... It's become such a big thing in Scotland for tourism that I'm just kind of put off discovering it. So I haven't actually seen it, is the honest truth, but it is everywhere. You can even have Outlander tour. It is in Danthrone blue. Okay, so royal blue is in Danthrone blue. Thank you, Eve. Oh, thank you for being here, Eve. I thought it was. It looked very in Danthrone-y. I can see why they went for royal blue rather than in Danthrone, because that's really hard to pronounce in Japanese. But then we have other names that are quite hard as well. That was indigo. That's my favourite indigo. And then ultramarine deep next. Now, I have to say, Holbein's ultramarine deep has a lot to be desired for, because I basically hated ultramarine deep because of this Holbein colour. I hadn't tried any other colours, and I thought all ultramarine blues are this light. And then I discovered Dan's blue, and then I discovered making my own blues, and I've learned that I have to say, love Holbein, but I don't love the ultramarine blues. Especially that one calling itself ultramarine deep, it ain't. Okay, so Stephen is suffering a little bit of buffering. Ian says it's fine. Johnny Bookend said, yes, it is a lot of hype in Scotland as well. Sorry. Like once you pass about 15 years, it just kind of all blurs into one. And so I speak much better English than I do Japanese, which is shameful, but I've spent all my time here, so, and I don't have family here. I am the only one of my family. So that was ultramarine light. I am about to paint cobalt blue hue, so I don't have anyone to... Is this really cobalt blue hue? Looks like marine. won't have to check. Let me paint it. Oh, bye Mark, thanks for popping in. Lovely seeing you. Lana says, I don't like ultramarine as a colour, but I like mixing with it. I love ultramarine as a colour, but it is also, as you say, a very good mixing colour. I just don't like... Whoa, whoa, whoa! Ultramarine blue by Holbein is reacting to salt. Daniel Smith's one doesn't. I'm just going to check that colour because... I'm not convinced if that is cobalt blue. It might be. Yeah, that looks right. Okay, fair enough. Oh, thank you so much for popping by, Mark. Really appreciate your time. Journey Bookend, I didn't just discover they had a Japanese descendant. I actually am Japanese. I was born in Japan. I grew up in Japan till I was 10. Then I came over to the UK. And hold on, cerulean blue. So I've always known that I was Japanese, and I hesitate to call myself Japanese now because I had to denounce my Japanese citizenship and nationality when I became British because Japan doesn't allow for dual nationality. So technically I'm not. I do have to go through the foreigner gate when I arrive in Japan. But I feel Japanese still. Is everyone else having problem with the buffering? Because I think I'm... No, shouldn't be. Manganese Blue Nova next. That was cerulean blue if I didn't say it. I'm seeing all sorts of lovely patterns happening. We are nearly halfway. Eve, am I right in thinking that Frugal Craft is on in 2 hours? Evie's saying it seems pretty random, no one seems to get buffering at the same time. Yeah! I haven't changed any settings, so... Cyan says, I have buffering on PC but not on tablet. That's weird. Right, Phthalo Blue Red shade next. I am starting to embrace Phthalo Blue Red shade more. It's, for me, I use it as, it's not quite an, well, it's definitely not an exact match, but I do use it as like a non-granulating alternative to ultramarine blue if I need that. It's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close. So I only use it like when the shade, the hue doesn't matter as much. It's just I'm looking for a warmer blue than the Phthalo Blue green shade. Lindsay is usually on in 3.5 hours. Okay. I am trying my best to get this done well before that. Prussian blue, so that you can have a break in between as well. I do like Holbein's Prussian blue. It's so confusing because some places have sometimes, others don't. So it's quite hard to work out how many hours. Oh yay, that's good. I'm glad it's working fine on the TV. Arty Crafty Alchemy. Right, that is actually halfway because well, it's more than halfway because I just finished palette 3 and I only have 6 palettes. So we get into the turquoise and greens. Ooh, we are getting very bright again. Hold on, let me just change that for you. There you go, so you're not blinded. I'm just gonna spray this. Oh, I'm so glad that the image on the TV is much better. Phthalo blue yellow shade. Did I say phthalo blue green shade? I meant yellow shade. It's the same colour. It's just Holbein just decided, well, everyone else is calling it green shade, so we're gonna call it yellow. Talking of Prussian blue, I think it was Prussian blue that I read. It's used as the antidote to heavy metal poisoning. And like, can someone please double check this on Wikipedia, because I can't remember off the top of my head, but I read something like a healthy adult can eat like 20 grams of Prussian blue a day. If you Google Prussian blue and go to the medical uses, it will say the bit I'm talking about. And I was just like, what? Peacock blue next. Peacock blue is a nice blue as well. Welcome back, Eve. What did you get for your breakfast? Although I do find peacock blue and phthalo blue yellow shade very similar. I think you're getting to see more of a difference on the screen than I am seeing in real life. Okay, let me have a drink. Ginger cookies and pineapple juice. That's not breakfast, Eve. Compost blue next. So I was saying earlier, I had a really productive morning today. I'm feeling fantastic because of it. I made this month's dot card for Patreons, which is going to be all the lunar colors. So lunar blue, lunar earth, lunar red rock, lunar violet, and lunar black. And so that's all made. I'm very happy about it. And then I sent off lots of different packages. Eve, I sent your package off today. Horizon blue next, so you should get it in goodness knows when. Just a long time. And I made a good lunch, and we're here now, so it's really good. Jenny Buckner is saying that the peacock blue doesn't match the blue they've seen on live peacocks. That is true. I don't know why they call that peacock blue. Cobalt turquoise light next. I have to admit, some of their color naming is a little bit weird. Like the royal blue, just call it Indanthrone blue. Cobalt turquoise light, yeah. Arctic Crafty Alchemy says, well, just realized the colors are much more vibrant on the TV too. That's awesome. I'm really surprised that this ultramarines are reacting, because the Daniel Smith ultramarine and French ultramarine doesn't react at all. Turquoise blue next. Oh, hi Alan. Didn't see you there. How are you today? Marine blue next. Now, marine blue is a beautiful color. Oh, I do love marine blue. I think it's essentially phthalo turquoise, but I do love it. Ellen's. See you later, Paolo. I hope you survive whatever you are going to survive through. Ellen saying, pretty good, loading with caffeine via my morning bucket of black tea. What time is it where everyone is? I do love marine blue. Cobalt green next. And I was saying earlier, I will put high-res photos of these up on my Patreon as well, so you can have a good look at each of them in your own time. Although right at the end, like, I will like zoom the camera in like I did yesterday, and just gonna adjust the brightness. There we go. And so you can get a close look at each of these colors. Right, Viridian. Viridian is the only color I kind of struggle to get a good color out of. But they do have Viridian hue, so it doesn't really matter. But this is what I mean, it's quite thin. So I tend to just use the Viridian. 9:12 a.m. 6:12 in the morning. So I'm totally guessing you're not in Japan. Where are you? What country are you in, Journaling Book Nerd? Viridian hue next. Which you can see is a much stronger color. So I use this as one of my 12 mixing colors in the Daniel Smith Color Showdowns, rather than the original Viridian. Oh, you live in the US. Awesome. So can you speak Japanese? 4:15 where Cyan is. Ian Jackson says 2:13, which is obviously the same time as me. Bamboo green. No, bamboo green is basically phthalo green, I think. Yeah. So the different name, the Holbein's naming convention can be a little bit. I'm just gonna move this up a bit. Confusing. Cyan is waiting to see leaf green. Leaf green is really nice. Emerald green Nova. I would say leaf green is very close to green gold by Daniel Smith. I don't understand emerald green Nova. It's not my favorite color in the world, but that's fine. We all have our own opinions, and that's awesome. I'm sure there are people that love this color. Hi, Jeannie. Jeannie says, I found some affordable Holbein colors, but I noticed they don't have a traditional pigment index. They do. They do. It should be on the tube. Hold on. Let me. Sorry, this is a wobbly one that I just used, but yeah, it always says on the pigment. Sorry, it's a zigzag one, but the pigment code is right under the barcode on the new tubes. Let me see if I have the old tubes. Yep, I have the old tubes, and again, the pigment is just under the barcode. And if you look on their website, you can also get their code as well. Right, compost green. Wow, it's almost midnight in Australia. Compost green next. I think I've said that already. So I don't mind compost green. It's a nice pastel color. So I haven't got a thing against opaque colors. It's just when it's like middle. It's not quite bold, but it's not quite pastel. I struggle with. Oh, my mixing watercolor is, my cleaning jar is a beautiful color again. Cadmium green pale next. I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm really, really glad I decided to do a live stream, because it's always so nice to chat to you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me while I paint this. Somebody commented, like, am I like the only person that watches these kind of videos to just do paint along, like not even watching, just have it in the background while they paint? I'm like, yeah, I totally do that too. I totally put like live streams and videos that are like on the background. I'm not even watching, but I'm just listening. Oh cool, you can speak Japanese, that's awesome. Cadmium green deep. So don't worry about putting me in the background and listening to me yap. I don't mind that at all. I do love swatching videos. It's so relaxing. You're just seeing colours. Colours. Hi Robin! How are you today? What are you up to? Stephen Turner says, I often do mixes or exercises during live streams. Yeah, that is a very good thing to do. That was Cadmium Green Deep, and I am now onto Permanent Green number 1. The for those of you who have been waiting for the retired Holbein Miyazaki color palettes, I would say it's pretty close to being done. The paints are looking quite nice. I'm just gonna give it like another little while just to make sure that it's nicely dry, but this one or this one? This one is Permanent Green number 1, and this one is Cadmium Green Deep. I'm about to do Permanent Green number 2. I have to say, with the Daniel Smith ones, we saw a lot of changes in the oranges, reds, pinks and violets, but not a lot of reaction in the blues, whereas I'm getting a lot of reaction in the blues here. It's really interesting how different each brand's paint react, even if it's the same pigment. Like those ultramarine blues are definitely reacting. Next up is Hooker's Green. I do like Holbein's Hooker's Green. I also like Lord forbid, the Winsor Newton one. It's like one of the few colours I do like. Robin's saying, I've been too fatigued for painting, might swatch out watercolour pencils. I have? That's awesome. Yeah, I saw Cyan on your Instagram stories that you were doing the testing for salts with the core watercolors. I stayed up to see, like, for your video to come show up, but it didn't. Sap green. I did forget to do the core watercolors yesterday. Leaf green next. Leaf green. Somebody was, I think it was Cyan that was waiting for leaf green. Leaf green, leaf green. It is quite similar to the Daniel Smith gold green. Right, on to the fifth palette. Did you guys see my photo on my Instagram story from yesterday of all the palettes that was on my studio floor at the end of filming yesterday's live stream? Next up is greenish yellow. So I'm really glad I'm actually testing two different brands, because like straight away now I know the way salt, like if whether a color reacts to salt or not is also brand dependent as well as color dependent. Olive green. I might make an edited video of comparing the two different brands. I may do another one that is Sennelier colors, because I have their full range colors. If you ever want a full range watercolor from any brand, the Sennelier's box set is literally the cheapest one. It's still really expensive, but it is still like a fraction of what you would have to pay to get a full set of Daniel Smith. So that was like my first full set that I bought. I saved up for a really long time and I bought it, and I was really glad, because when you're taking different courses in watercolor, you know, each teacher has lots of different colors in their palettes, and to buy them individually from, say, Daniel Smith would be like so much more expensive, whereas having just that full set, if you can afford it, was fantastic for me because it meant that, you know, I pretty much had all the colors any teacher was going to mention. So I didn't have to wait, you know, go and buy the paints and wait for it to come arrive at home. Yeah, Eve's saying it does help that it's 98 colors versus 240 plus, but I think it's less than half. So proportionally, it's cheaper as well. I mean, it's like a difference of 10 mil between and 15 mil as well. Lana is asking, where do you keep all these big swatches and reference sheets? The big ones, when I have a space, I have put them up on my studio wall, and the little ones I have a folder. That I think I made a video of a flip through of one of those folders. Green grey next. This was Terra Verde, this was olive green. If you have a question, it would be awesome if you could type the word question in capital letters and then just type your question normally, just because it makes it a lot easier for me to spot you. So I might do a scenario one as well, because in science we're taught, you know, don't make conclusions. You need a minimum of 3 data points before you can start inferring anything. Shadow green next. Shadow green is basically it's the same pigment as the Daniel Smith Color green. I would say it's a more neutralized green than Daniel Smith's Color green. Awesome, those strawberries are awesome, Eve. I love that. Oh hi, Ethereal. Have you tried the flake type kosher salt also? Not yet, they are on their way. I am going to do a big video testing lots of different salts. So I'm looking forward to that. Kosher salt is actually quite hard to get hold. Oh, whoa, Grace, hi. Sorry, hey, you're here. I'm so glad you're here. It must be really early for you. Right, back to kosher salt. Kosher salt is really hard to get hold of in here. I went to several supermarkets and none of them had it. So I've ordered them from Amazon, so it should be here soon. I'm also waiting for another kind of salt, and then I can do a big test of different salts for you, and that will be a video. Oh, thank you for being my new subscriber, Ethereal Ode. Nice to have you here. How are you doing, Grace? I feel like I haven't seen you in ages. I loved your package for Eve. If you haven't seen it, guys, Eve did a video yesterday of the care package that Eve sent. Eve, could you put a link to that video for us in the chat, please? And it was full of like the most cutest, awesomest stuff. It was cool. It's 6:30. Whoa! Thanks for coming to the live stream so early. I'm sorry it's so early. I was really aware that this is like a really early time to do a live stream, but because I'm aware that Frugal Crafter's live stream is on this afternoon, and of course, obviously, I don't want to step on her toes or have to make you guys pick which one to watch, because I don't want you to miss either of the streams, that I decided to, you know, do it a lot earlier than my normal time, just so that I can get this done and dusted before and give poor Eve a break, because she works so hard as my mod before she moderates for Frugal Crafter as well, and give you guys a break. But thank you everyone for being here. Mars Violet, Indian Red, and Imidazoline Brown. Oh no, Grace, why have you been tired? Yeah, Eve's linked her video of Grace's care package. It was really awesome package. So go and check that out after the live stream, of course. Peridine Maroon next. I don't know why they bothered to call this Peridine Maroon but not the Peridine Green. Oh, hang on, I haven't sprayed this. That's why. Right, Peridine Maroon. Try it again. Ethereal Oat saying kosher salt here in the USA is I really can't pronounce words today. Primarily used for the lack of anti-caking additives. It is often used in home canning. Good to know. I've just gathered a whole load of different types of salts, so that we can just. I'm trying to gather enough salt so that I can cover most people's, you know, what about this salt kind of thing. Light red next. Chini says, I have an 80-page watercolor sketchbook that I made and I'm trying to fill it up. I have 32 pages left. You can do it! You can totally do it! Keep drawing. I'm sorry you're feeling tired, Grace. I hope you feel better soon. It's not nice being tired. I know. I was in chronic undersleeping for like 10 months. Very recently. So I share your pain. Burnt sienna next. We're nearly there, guys. We're nearly there. Ethereal Odd says the pinks seems to be developing lovely patterns. Yeah, they really are. They're really nice. They all are. I'm definitely noticing more reactions than I did with Daniel Smith's. Yellow ochre next. Okay, I hope you get good caffeine, journaling book note. Raw sienna. Oh, did I tell you guys I've actually now come off caffeine altogether? Did I tell you guys that? Yeah, Grace, traveling really tires me out too. And it tires me out for a really long time. I always joke I need a holiday after a holiday. Oh, I didn't tell you guys? Yeah, I've given up caffeine, which is a big achievement for me because at one point, like a year ago, I was on like 8 cups of coffees a day. Like I was free ranging on coffee. And it's taken me a year to really cut down, like almost by half cup of coffee at a time. And about 2-3 weeks ago, I finally became caffeine free, which has been really nice. Like I still miss it. And some days when I'm like tired, I'm like, I could really do with a coffee now. But it feels great to be not enslaved, if that's a word, by caffeine. And I knew that it wasn't doing my digestion, acid reflux issue. Yeah, I know. I totally realized that that was way too much cups of coffee. That's why I gave up. Do you still have tea? I have it, but I haven't had any yet. I've been on herbal teas mostly, just because I wanted to have a period of not having any. But I like really miss my winter spice tea, which is like my favorite tea. But like tea has just as much caffeine as coffee, so I've been trying to stay off caffeinated coffees and teas altogether, and I haven't bothered with like decaf coffee because it's actually more acidic than a normal coffee, so it actually makes me more ill. Yes, I used to be free ranging. I was free ranging on coffee before. I say free ranging because basically I'd be like, oh, I need a coffee. Oh, I need a coffee. Oh, I'm gonna go for a coffee. Before, with like no limit whatsoever, and it was the same as my husband. He's worked really hard to cut down on his as well, but he still drinks coffee. Strangely, I thought when the time came where I gave up coffee altogether and he hasn't, that I'd feel like really jealous of watching him drink coffee and stuff, but no, I'm totally fine. I do miss having like a special drink though. I'm mostly drinking water now, so that can get a bit boring. I love drinking water, but it can get a bit boring. And it's nice to have like a special drink after lunch, which was like my last coffee that I gave up. I feel like I haven't said any of the colors here. Yellow ochre, raw sienna, raw umber, yellow grey, and umber. Thank you very much, guys. Ethereal Earth says, I bought a roll of that thin blue tape you're using after seeing it in a video you did. How are you finding the stickiness? Because I'm really struggling with how unsticky this tape is, which is why we're doing an impromptu live stream today, right now, because I was planning to do this for next week's live stream. And I woke up this morning, came into the studio, and all the tapes was like starting to peel off. So I thought, well, I better do an impromptu live stream today instead, so that I have like some of the tapes still stuck on. I knew that if I left it for a whole week, like all the tapes would have just fallen off. I even tucked the ends in on underside the paper and everything, but it still came peeling off. So I'm really struggling with that. Ellen Kelly saying black tea generally has less than coffee. I actually gave up coffee when I was in college. Hurt my stomach too much, but I have a black tea now that punches me in the face in the morning. Ooh, what kind of tea is that? Cyril says it isn't very tacky, so I sort of emboss it with a stick, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I know what you mean, because I do it too, and I like really, really press it down and rub it down and everything, but it still peels off. I'm like, why? Why you do this to me? Van Dyke Brown, that was burnt umber, this is Van Dyke Brown. We are going to be on the last row next. Thank you so much for being here this whole time. Really, really appreciate your company. You know me, I love chatting to you guys. Next up is Sepia. Thank you very much, Eve. I really appreciate trying your one. Oh, you want to see mixing of lunas? Actually, I can show you. If we have time at the end of this stream, can you just remind me about it? Because I've actually made a glazing chart of lunar colors. So I can show you. The burnt umber? Yeah, it's a pretty red one. Davies green. Oh, we are on the last palette. Hold on a second. Last palette is only half full. This is Davies grey. Oh no! Let me just have a look and see what I can do on my end about the buffering. I have no other apps and close that. Right, I can try dropping the frame rate. Hold on, how's that? Is that better? Okay, so this is Davies grey here. Hang on, let me just... This is Davies grey here, down here, and this is sepia. This is Van Dyke brown and burnt umber. How's the buffering now? Stephen Tanner saying everyone's watching tennis. UK has no bandwidth left. Yeah, it's Wimbledon at the moment. Where's the final? Is it the finals? I used to watch it every year because just before Wimbledon, the tradition was the week before Wimbledon. The tradition was that men played their own championship at Queen's, and the women, female tennis players, played at Eastbourne. And I went to school in Eastbourne, and we provided, between us and another school, we provided all the ball girls and the court girls. Now, ball girls, as you know, are the people that run after the balls and throw balls at the players when when they request it. Not just like randomly throw balls at the players. Court girls look after the court. So at the time, because this was back in the 90s, the the signs with their names and stuff, that was all analog. So we used to have plates with everyone's name on. Those had to be swapped over. Towels have to be in the right places, and drinks and snacks had to be in the right place for the right players because each player has a different request. Blah 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 blah. And so that's what court girls do. And I was fortunate enough to be the head court girl for the Eastbourne Championship one year. So that was really, really awesome. And I got to meet loads of famous tennis players. My favorite was meeting Martina Navratilova. She was awesome, and I got her like loads of signatures and stuff. So that was a load of fun, and I am so glad I did it. I'm really sorry about the painter being patchy down here because I must have had my elbow like on it like this, and my moisturizer must have gone onto it. I'm usually very, very careful about not getting grease on. I usually wear like these white gloves whenever I'm handling any paper. Oh hey Himawari, how's the weather? Cause I didn't I saw on the news today that there's a big super typhoon developing, and it's coming you guys' way in Taiwan and also south of Japan. I'm really worried about it because with the exception of my mom, that like my entire family live in Kyushu. So I'm like, oh no, don't go that way. Just dissolve. That was Payne's Grey, and the next one is Neutral Tint. Hi Vamika, welcome back, Journaling Book Nerd. Yeah, so once I finish this, I will first do the smaller sheet that I painted at the beginning, and then you can watch me peel all the tapes off, because that's always fun, isn't it? Oh, it's sweltering. Oh, I bet. I went to Taiwan. You're North Taiwan, aren't you, rather than South? We went Taiwan and did both North and South in May, and it was sweltering then, so I can only imagine how it is now. Why do I have peacock blue there? What? Peach black. I meant peach black. Hang on, let me just... Peach black. There we are. Himari says, yeah, waiting for it. Actually, weather report says that it's expected to blow in on Wednesday. Oh, I hope it doesn't. I hope it just dissolves into a tropical storm again. Himari saying that that's like such a bad month to travel Taiwan in May. Well, it it had to coincide with Golden Week in Japan, because my auntie works at an office, and like it was myself, my husband, my mom, but also my uncle, who is the younger brother to my mom, and also my auntie, who is like my uncle and auntie are related rather than married. My auntie is the younger sister of my mom's, and we also took my great uncle, who was 87 at the time. He was born in Taiwan. My mom was also born in Taiwan as well. So it was a fantastic trip, but it had to coincide with my auntie being able to take some time off. So it had to be the Golden Week. What makes May a bad time to visit Taiwan? And when is the best time to visit Taiwan, just for future reference? Because we are planning to go back. Because my mom wants to go to the big National Museum in Taipei. Like, she wants to just camp in there, so... Question, will you do a zoom in close-up after you finish the swatches? Yes, absolutely. So once this is like done, I'll start with the smaller one just to give this time to dry a little bit. That was lamp black, and then I will peel everything, and then I will do close-ups like I did yesterday. Ivory black. 3 more, well, 2 more after this, guys. Thank you so much for sticking by. It's nice to try the black paint colors, because we didn't do that with the Daniel Smiths. Mostly because I don't own one any. Next up is gold. I have to admit, Holbein's gold and silver is leaves a lot to be desired. It's very weak. It's better as mixing color to add a hint of gold or silver or a little bit of sparkle into other colors. but on its own it's pretty thin. Thank you, Himari. Yeah, they had that earthquake. My mum's family live in Kumamoto, so they were directly hit. But most people were okay. The weirdest thing though was we still have my grandmother's house. Like she died like 18 years ago, but we still had the house in the family, and that house was completely untouched. Like it was in the same area as another uncle of mine, whose house had to be evacuated because his pillars just broke, and he couldn't live in there. Same area, but my grandmother's house, nothing was broken, not even a single glass. Nothing was touched. It was amazing. Himara is saying it's the change of seasons between spring and summer. You either get a very hot weather or cold weather. Yeah, that's pretty much how it was on our holiday. Right, that's all done. So let's pull out the smaller one first and peel that off. So this has a few moments to just dry a little. So this was the extra card that we painted at the beginning, and this was on a separate card because I was like, they're so light, you're probably not going to see much. And if that was the case, then I was just going to leave it off when I put the big chart up on my wall. And I don't bother to take the salt off in the live stream, but one tip, I do eventually, like last night after the live stream, I did scrape all the salt off. And my tip for that is to use a palette knife, and in particular, I find this shape palette knife really useful, and all you do is just gently scrape it like this. And I found that this is the best way I can consistently get all the salt off. So yeah, that's my tip on removing the salt. Ooh, Himari says Taiwan is about 32 degrees Celsius, 97% humidity. How's the buffering? Because my OBS is telling me it's pretty bad. Let me just change the... Let's pull the bitrate to about 150. How's that looking? Ethereal says I use a soft toothbrush. That might work as well, yeah. Himali says it's 32 Celsius, 97% humidity, windless. This is exactly why. It's really hard for me to go back to Japan in the summer because I was born in the summer and I would love to celebrate my birthdays in Japan, but it's just ridiculously hot. Even my mum's like, no, it's still hot, don't bother, you'll die. Himari says, I feel very sad for the Kumamoto. Do you mean the Kumamoto castle? So I'm just gonna bring it up to you. I can't see that, like, permanent yellow lemon, imidazoline lemon, Aurelian, and imidazoline yellow does react to salt, but as you can see, it's not much. But it does react. Can't really tell with the titanium white or the Chinese white. Maybe if I do it on like a black background, it'd be better. But yeah, the light yellows do react. You just can't see it. The only one that didn't react was cadmium yellow lemon. Okay, let's bring the big sheet back. And once I peel this one, I will like zoom in properly. It just, because it has to come in so low, it will have to be a manual zoom. Right, let's peel these off. Hello. Now it's really stuck well down and it won't come off. It does get insanely hot around Japan and Taiwan and that sort of area in the summer. It's just horrendously hot and humid, and you are walking into a sauna. Come on, come on, don't be shy. Just gonna text my husband and see if he's using the internet. Because that might be causing it. The buffering. Himaori said that the summer season is much longer. Sometimes it feels like they don't even get autumn. Yeah, it's quite similar in Japan. Come on, where are you? How is it now? How's the buffering? Oh, it's an irony that these tapes were voluntarily coming off earlier and now they don't want to come off at all. Yeah, sorry, okay, the whole problem with the buffering was because my husband was using the internet. So I do apologize for the buffering. He's now off the internet, and buffering should be back to normal, in which case I am also going to bring back my bitrate back up. Okay, it should still be okay. Is it better? Tut tut, he knows not to use the internet while I'm live streaming. Peel, peel, peel. Still happening, in which case I am going to put the bitrate back down. Right, that should get better. That is irony. I am so sorry that we are having such buffering issues. As Stephen says, everyone's watching Wabundun, and so all the buffers are gone. I'm so sorry that it keeps buffering. I've done everything I can on this side. It kind of feels a bit like it's out of my hands now. I'm so sorry, and I can only thank you for your patience. You know, please feel free to catch up on the replay, because that will be much better. I hope. I hope. I'm staying quiet because this is so satisfying. Oh, missed one. I really hope it's not buffering through this very satisfying bit of peeling. I have to say, I'm definitely noticing a lot more reactions, like many more colors that are reacting to the salt. It's very interesting. Ta-da! All the masking tapes. I love this tape. As much as it annoys me, I love it because it creates, as Eve said, much cleaner color swatches, and also it makes the job faster because you're not worrying so much about having to stay within the lines and stuff. So you can paint it much faster as well. So I'm just going to clear some space on my table so I can move this around, and then I will also manually zoom you guys in. See you later, Ian. And I think Stephen left earlier, so Ethereal says, I fear peeling tape when the paper is even slightly damp. I had a few bad experiences. Yes, normally do not peel paper, masking tape off damp paper. You will rip it even more. With this tape, it's so unsticky that I don't really have to worry about it. Right, first of all, I am going to zoom you guys in through the software. Come on, you can do better than that. And then I'm going to manually just zoom you guys in. So if you are prone to motion sickness, can you just look away for a second while I do this? I want to be able to fit at least 3 colors in. Right. And then I'm just going to change the focus so you can see better. Right. How you guys doing? Okay. Okay, for those of you who looked away for motion sickness, I have finished, so you're welcome to look again. So I'm going to go through all of these, and we can have a look at which colors reacted and which ones didn't. Cad yellow pale. I do see some reaction, but again, it's really light color, so you're not seeing the reaction as much. Permanent yellow light definitely reacts, and you can see it, and so does Gumbosh Nova. That's the same reaction you get with the Daniel Smith new Gamboge. They both react, I'd say, pretty similar. Moving on. Cad Yellow Light doesn't really. Cad Yellow Deep doesn't really. I see a couple of lighter patches, but I bet it looks amazing on your TV, Arty Crafty Alchemy. Can you take a photo? Because I'd love to see what it looks like. There was a Cad Yellow Deep, light patches, but I wouldn't say that it's very successful in reacting. The Permanent Yellow Deep is a little bit more reacting than Cad Yellow Deep, but again, I would put that in the it's not really reactive category. And then we have Coin Gold, which has reacted. You can see nice patterns forming there. Naples Yellow has reacted. It's reacted quite a lot actually. Jombrian it does react, but because it's on white you can't really see it. And then Jombrian 2 reacts quite well as well. Right, and then going to Isodine Yellow Deep, it reacts. Cad Yellow Orange doesn't really. I mean, I can see that it kind of has. I have to say it shows up a lot better on the screen, the reaction, than it does in real life. In real life, I can't really see it as well. I'm just gonna have a drink. The Permanent Yellow Orange definitely reacts. It's actually quite a nice pattern. Brilliant Orange reacts for sure. That reacts really well. Cadmium Red Orange, there is patterning, but it's not very good. So far I'm seeing a lot of pattern of the cadmium colors not reacting very much to the colors. Vermilion, same, doesn't really, it's kind of a little bit, but not much. Vermilion Hue on the other hand, so let's just scroll back. This is Vermilion, this is Vermilion, this is Vermilion Hue. You can see a huge difference in reaction. Cadmium Red Light, I think, reacts a little bit better than like the yellows and the orange cadmiums, but again, it's nowhere near as much as like say Vermilion Hue, and the camera is definitely picking up more variations in the color than I can see in real life. Same with Cad Red Purple, whereas Scarlet Lake definitely reacts very well. Journaling Bookend says, how do you know how much salt to add? Well, you don't want to coat it, but you don't want to cake it, but you just sprinkle some. There's no hard and fast rule as to how many you need to, how much salt you need to put. And because it's so dependent on, oh, thank you for taking the photo, Arty Crafty Alchemy. And because it, each color reacts differently, there isn't a hard and fast rule as to how much salt you should put in. It was just a pinch and just sprinkle. Pyro Red reacts really well. Yeah, a pinch in cooking terms. Yeah, absolutely. Pyro Red reacts definitely really well. Cad Red Deep is still in that whole cadmium class of not reacting that much. Oh, hi Dryad. Shell Pink definitely reacts. Queen Scarlet does, but not as much as say like a Brilliant Orange. Pyro Rubin reacts, but not as much. It's a more subtle pattern. Rose Madder definitely reacts. Surprisingly, Crimson Lake didn't react, whereas Carmine does, and Permanent Alizarin Crimson does really well. You can, it's almost 3D in its effect. and Queen Red definitely does as well. Right, and then we are on to the Queen Magenta. Reacts really well. Okay, so I'm aware that Himari missed a bit, so while I go through this row, I am gonna just lower it a little bit so that she can catch up with what we did on this row as well. Oh, I'm so sorry you guys have to refresh a lot. Oh, I'm so sad. I might make like a editorial, like an edited video going through all these colors into a proper video for you guys, just in case this stream hasn't been broadcasted properly. Queen Magenta reacts really well. Bright Rose reacts as well, but like not as much as Queen Magenta. Opera reacts really well, actually. It's nice, and the reaction seems to be more widespread than like these colors. Brilliant Pink does, but you can't see it very well because it's a light color. Lilac definitely reacts. Okay, I'm just gonna put the opera back because I know Eve loves the opera. There you go. There's your opera fill. Lilac, I was really surprised that Lilac reacts really well. And then Bright Violet reacts really well. Queen Violet reacts really well. Cobalt Violet light doesn't really. It granulates, and it should granulate without the salt. So it's not the salt doing it. So there is no reaction here. And then we have Mineral Violet, which reacts really well. And I don't know if you can see this, but where the salt has been, so like you get all this feathered thing that you get in all the other colors where the hue just goes a much lighter value, but then where the salt has been, it's actually a different color. It's very bluey. So yeah, that's really interesting. That's the first one that's done this two-tone thing. And then you get the permanent violet as well. Right, we are on to the lavenders. Lavender definitely reacts. Cobalt blue reacts. Verditer blue does, but not as much. The royal blue, which is indanthrone blue, reacts really nicely. I actually really like this pattern. Indigo reacts really well as well. It's fascinating how the patterns are different though, because like here it's more like dashy, whereas this is like more feathered. It's really interesting. Now I'm just going to slide this along because the ultramarine blue deep and ultramarine light reacting, I mean, really well is interesting because the Daniel Smith ultramarine blue and French ultramarine doesn't react at all. Like, let me just grab the salt. So like this is the salting for ultramarine blue for Daniel Smith, and this was the salt I did for the French ultramarine. No reaction. Holbein, reaction. Really interesting. And then we have cobalt blue hue, which reacts. Cerulean, I would say that doesn't really. And manganese blue nova reacts as well. Oh, hang on, I have water that's getting in the way. I just need to move a few things. We have Sailor Blue, reacts really well. Prussian Blue obviously reacts, but in a completely different pattern. These to me look like little birds from a distance or something. A flock of birds from above. And then phthalo blue yellow shade reacts as well. This is peacock blue, reacts quite well. Compost blue goes nuts. It's beautiful. It's a really beautiful pattern. And then horizon blue reacts, but not as much as compost blue. I'm really liking this pattern. And then cobalt turquoise light. It reacts, but not as much. Turquoise blue reacts. Marine blue reacts beautifully.